have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talent, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone.
Grand Rising, and thank you all for joining us on this Tuesday edition of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Well, even though we might look alike, as you might be able to tell, I'm not Jody Susan. However, our regular Tuesday host, Jody, is out doing a special presentation today, and we're here filling in. I'm Naima Latif, looking forward to speaking to you.
Ain't no nothing. That carried me to this day,
man. And well, see, that was a premonition of what's to come. Voices coming out of nowhere, because today we're talking to a woman who has made a profound discovery that all of us should know. Caroline Chang, producer of Awake to Oneness Radio, had an experience in which her son transitioned. And like most mothers, there's the pain of loss. But then she discovered that there really is no loss. And in some amazing ways showed that the energy of our loved ones who have transitioned not only remains with us, but can even be captured through some of our modern technology. Her second child also transitioned. And for many mothers, this might have been devastating. But for Caroline, she understands that their relationship has merely changed now that her beloved children are on the other side. They're with her now more than ever. Well, we've been talking about how to address the transition of a child and the grief. But truly, if you understand that there is no death, then there will be no grief. Not in the way that we are feeling like we have lost someone. So today we want to share experiences to help those who may be suffering because they believe they've lost a loved one. And we want to show you how to reconnect. So I'd like to welcome to the show my dear sister, Caroline Chang. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I just love connecting. We've known each other for several years and connected and done things together. And thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, so I was so excited when I had a chance to meet you because I've been watching your show, Awake to Oneness, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is deep. You know, and you had so many of your guests you've had on just profound wisdom teachers.
Yes.
And it's almost like there are two worlds. Well, we know that the world is separating between the awakened and the still asleep. But yes, we want to awaken more people. And when I saw your show, Awake to Oneness, I just said, I got to find a way to connect with her and have her on. Because there's just so much knowledge that's right out here in plain sight all over the internet. And if we can just share it with people who may not have tuned into it, we can change their lives.
Very, very true. Very true. Yes.
So for people who have not yet met you, give us a brief account of your story. What happened first with your son and then with your daughter, and how you reconnected across the veil.
Yes. Well, I'm going to go a little bit before my son transitioned, because my spiritual awakening was in 2007, and that was science. And everybody, we were just talking about awaken, be collective, and those that are still asleep, and no judgment for those that are still asleep. Because when you're awake, you understand there is never a judgment. But my awakening to the universal truth of oneness happened in 2007, long before my son got ill. And that was a blessing, because I think without that awakening, you know, I think if you're not spiritually awake when devastating things of a transition of a child happens, that can really throw you in the opposite direction. So I was blessed to have that spiritual awakening many years before my son transitioned. So when my son did transition in 2014, I was at complete peace. There is a book that I wrote a chapter in called My Miracle on 34th Street, because 3 years before my son's transition is what really changed my life and had me to be at peace when he actually did transition. Well, doctors had said he wasn't going to live in 2011. And it was December of 2011, and he had been on life support for many weeks. Doctors said he wasn't going to live. And even though I was spiritually awake, I was like, I am not burying my son. And in the hospital, I wrote a suicide note and I tried to take my life. And this is in December of 2011. And so I didn't succeed in trying to take my life, but they put me on suicide watch and I could only visit with my son for a few minutes a day while he was still in ICU. I whispered in his ear. I said, Kyle, get better so we could both go home. And that night, we experienced a medical miracle. My son pulled himself off life support, and doctors were in a maze. They were astonished, because when he pulled himself off, and he's sedated, because to be on life support, you have to be sedated. So in a sedated state, he had the strength to pull out the ventilator, to pull out the feeding tube, and his vital signs were perfect. The doctor said it was like he was never even sick. And within a week, he and I were going home together. He heard me when I said, Kyle, get better so we can both go home. And he knew I still needed him for me. Needed him around here in the physical for me to get prepared to do my soul mission. So I write a chapter called My Miracle on 34th Street, because the hospital was in Philadelphia on 34th Street at Christmas time.
Wow.
Yes. So, but it was that. Now, when I brought him home in 2011, I said to God, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, he could transition I don't know, but I will never, ever, ever, ever stop thanking you. And that was December 30th of the day before New Year's Eve in 2011. And I have never stopped keeping that promise. So when he did actually transition 3 years later, I was at complete peace. I knew it was his time. I know every soul comes into this life experience in perfect divine timing for that soul, and every soul leaves this life experience in perfect divine timing for that soul. And so when he left, when he did transition, I knew it was his time. I knew he wasn't going anywhere. He was just leaving that vehicle we call a body. We are not our body. I knew it was a soul plan. I knew it was a plan before my birth. I knew he chose me to be his mom. And I knew, and I agreed. I said, yes, I want to be your mom. And he said, but I won't be hanging around in that place called Earth as long as you. You have more work to do. And but so I was at complete peace when he transitioned. And that was 9 years ago, July 1st of 2014. And 2 years after his transition, on his birthday, I was gifted a reading by Suzanne Giesemann.
Oh my.
An amazing medium. And she's not just a medium, she's also a channel. And she channels her spirit team called Sanaya. Sanaya had told her before she got an email from me. Sanaya had said, you are going to do a reading for a mother who has a son in spirit on Thanksgiving Day. Now, my son is a Thanksgiving baby. Every 4 to 5 years, or no, 5 to 6 years, his birthday falls right on Thanksgiving Day. So that, it was 2016. His birthday was right on Thanksgiving Day, November 24th. And I emailed Suzanne just saying, a week before that, I said, I'm just thinking a lot about Kyle. And she said, I'm giving you a reading on his birthday. I said, wait a second. That's Thanksgiving Day. I don't want to take you from your family. That Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday. I don't want to take you from your family on Thanksgiving Day. So she's like, no, I was told I had to do this reading. Yes. Now, it was so amazing. And your audience can hear this because it's on YouTube. We actually, from that reading, I had never heard of electronic voice phenomena called EVP, meaning hearing your loved one that's on the other side through electronic instrument. I never heard of it. She had heard of it, but it had never happened to her. She had never experienced it. So throughout that reading, you hear this swooshing sound. And she could hear it. Now live, she could hear it. I could not hear a thing. You can hear me live. And it's loud. She's like, you will hear it in the recording. So you got to hear the recording. I've got to share this with you, the link, because I have it all on YouTube. But we actually hear.
I'll put it on the page so the people can actually go and listen.
And listen to it. Yes, you can actually hear Kyle's voice, and he's saying, "Mom." What you hear him saying is doing it, meaning he's saying, "I still have a lot of work to do, and I'm doing it." So that was so amazing to have his voice on tape. And that was 2 years after his transition. Then I have another guest that I've become friends with. Her name is Sonia Rinaldi. She is a Brazilian researcher, and she has been researching for over 30 years, connecting to our loved ones through electronic, through the computer, through audio. She has images, she has audio, and she actually now has video with images and audio together of our loved ones on the other side. And her work is so amazing, and she does not charge anything, especially for mothers, especially for parents that have children. She will, it's so amazing. Kyle has come through to her so many times, and I have those images in that video I have on YouTube. And it's so amazing. Also, in that, a couple of things, in that video where you hear Kyle's voice, you also hear my dog, Coco, who transitioned in 2007. And Kyle's holding Coco, and you can clearly hear Coco's bark. It's so amazing. Yes, the veil is getting thinner.
Make sure
and yes,
electronic voice phenomenon.
Right, electronic voice. Look that up and look up Sonia Rinaldi. She has a YouTube channel. English is not her first language. But she's amazing. She's so amazing. There's also Rinaldi documentary about her work, and I actually am featured in that documentary. And it is now available for free on YouTube, the documentary. So I'll send you the link to that as well. So it's just, it's wonderful to know that your loved ones are still with you, but to actually have that physical evidence that they're still with you. And that's more so because Kyla said to me, Mom, I know you know that I'm still here with you, but I want you to have proof to show others So that's why he came through. And it's very hard, very difficult for them to do that, to actually, hear the voice on this side of the veil. Very difficult. Takes a lot of energy. It's all about energy.
Well, that's the thing.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's a way to explain how that
that.
works, but you're picking up the energy of that person. So
Yes.
did his voice sound the same as he sounded when he was in a body?
Yes, it definitely, it was clearly his voice, but they don't, in spirit, they don't have vocal cords.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. They don't have vocal cords.
They don't have vocal cords. So it was manipulating the energy with the computer is how he was able to have that voice come through. But it was very difficult to do that. He, like, the whole session, you can hear him trying, and all you get is that one little, it's like you gotta really, actually, Suzanne did not hear it. I heard it a couple of days later, and I said, Suzanne, listen right at this spot. And when she heard, you can clearly hear his voice. She was like, holy. She called her husband, Ty. She's like, Ty, come over here. Listen to this. It was and the wonderful thing, it was the first time. Now, she has had since then, because that was in November of 2016. Since then, she's had several more experiences like that with bringing through other loved ones. But with Kyle, it was the first time that had ever happened with her. And so, it's just amazing. It really is.
Well, that really does help people understand that when people are hearing their loved ones who've transitioned or even seeing their images, and it's not your imagination. Your energy never dies. What is it? Matter can be neither created or destroyed. Well, all matter is energy. Down. So
yes,
if we know that our energy has always existed from the beginning and continues to exist once we transition out of this fleshly vehicle, then we can understand that there is no such thing as death.
Not at all.
And we can really comprehend that.
Yes.
There won't be any fear or grief, because what's the biggest thing people fear? Death.
Yes. And I have to tell you, I'm 61 years old. Not 1 second in this life experience have I ever feared death. Even as a child, it's like I always knew, I was born knowing that there's a greater reality than this experience. And I never, ever feared death. So, but I understand that is a great fear for many.
Yes. And I think what it is, people fear
the unknown.
They fear the unknown, and then they fear the suffering. They fear that there's going to be extreme pain and suffering. And then, of course, if you've been raised in a religion that teaches about hell, then they fear that they're going to be judged and condemned, and and they think of all these mistakes they've made, and people think that the creator of the universe is like our dysfunctional parents that that we might not even have done, or forgive us if we made mistakes, yelled at us, made us feel bad. So we're expecting that on the other side, and that's not so much fear.
Yes.
No, that's not how
it's so true. I say I have respect for all religions. For me, religion is one thing, love. And I have to put the word unconditional. Or when I say love, God is love. God is unconditional love, period. Now, whatever your religion, I have respect for it. But me, I know God is unconditional love. And what religion tends to do is create God in the image of man.
Right.
Instead of man in the image of God. They switch that around somehow in their mind. God is not vengeful. God is not
jealous.
Jealous. I can't imagine a parent, no matter what your child has done, you're not going to stop loving that child, and you would not condemn that child to hell forever.
That's burn you.
Yes, forever, for eternity. Really?
No. Ever and ever.
No. No.
But
So
you
yeah,
know, that indoctrination is so deep.
it
And
is. It is. It
I,
is.
I know people who are getting up in age and they're literally living in fear that
Yes.
they didn't, you know, pay enough money to the church, or maybe they didn't say enough
Ye-
prayers, or you know, God's not going to accept them into heaven. I mean, literally living in fear, and
Exactly.
making them physically ill because they're
Exactly.
believing that. And again,
Yes.
respect to all religions, because any spiritual path
Yes.
can
Right.
lead you to the light. But like Caroline's
Mm.
saying, the interference come when we keep trying to make the creator of the universe in our image, our limited understanding, our egoistic
Yes.
beliefs,
Very
and
true.
we keep projecting that and teaching that and indoctrinating
Exactly.
our children with that. And
Yes.
because we do that, we actually end up separated from the
Yes.
divine, and
Exactly.
we cause ourselves unnecessary suffering.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
this is
Yes.
why I just love your show, because you
Yes.
have done so much to bring light. The guests that you've had,
Yes.
the topics, and of course the show is entitled Awake to
To
Oneness.
oneness.
So
Yes.
explain, we got to take a break in about 5-6 minutes, but
Yeah.
before we take a break, explain to the audience, what is oneness?
Oh, okay. Oneness is my awakening, like I said, and it was science. Quantum physics explains that everything is energy, and that energy is interconnected and interdependent. There is only one thing in the universe, and it's all energy. I call that energy is love. And everything is made from that same energy. It's all about frequency, high frequency of love and light, or low frequency of hate and fear. And you choose in our free will, as sovereign divine beings of light, we choose, do we want to live in love, or do we want to live in fear? And those are really the only two options. Are
Yeah.
you going to live every moment in love? Or are you going to live it in fear?
Yes, because really every other emotion comes out of fear.
Right.
Even hate is fear that someone's
Yeah.
going to harm you,
Yes.
or fear
Yes.
that they're going to make you feel bad. So it's all fear. It's either
Yes.
it's love or it's fear.
Fear.
And
That's only
what
two.
does the scripture say? Perfect
Yeah.
love casts out fear. Well,
Yes.
that's the thing.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that's the challenge that we have.
Yes. And
And
knowing that we're one with God, never separated. See, that's how when I was in going to church and in religion, I felt separated from God. But when
yes,
I woke up to oneness, to the universal truth of oneness, which is science is teaching it, ancient wisdom is teaching it, and spirituality has always been teaching that we are always one with God. We can never be separate. Never be
we have
separate.
to be separate. Absolutely.
Yes.
And what I see, even with the challenges that we have with humanity,
Yes.
if people knew this, they would
Yes.
go through an internal transformation. That's the thing that will solve our problems. It's
Yes.
not causing people more pain because they've caused pain, you know, building more jails, seeing
Right.
how many more police we can put on the street. If we can just connect people to the
Yes.
divine, it's like all
Yes.
of us are lights.
Yes. Yes.
And if we
Sovereign divine beings.
unplug, like I
Right.
just unplugged the light, now if the
Yes.
light is unplugged, it's not
Right.
connected to the source of energy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's all everybody who's unawakened is. They're just unplugged lights. So if
Yes.
we can connect them
And plug them back in.
and plug them back
Yes.
in, problem
Plug them
solved.
back into the source,
Plug
which
them
is
back into
unconditional love.
unconditional love. That's
Yes.
all that's needed. And people who, you know, when people have maybe a religious epiphany and they see the
Yes.
light and they say, "Oh, I'm saved," or you know, whatever it is, whatever terminology in which you become aware of the presence of the divine in you, that is
Right.
a transformative experience.
Exactly.
And people are excited and enthusiastic. The only error in understanding that they have is that the only way to get that experience is through their particular religious faith.
Right.
They're
Right. Right.
not realizing that that experience is open to everyone.
Exactly.
Regardless of which path you take, it's available to everyone because we are all lights. And we
Yes.
just need to reconnect to the source.
Source.
Once that
Exactly.
happens, You are, in fact, as if you're born again. You are spiritually renewed. You are cleansed on the inside. All of
Yeah.
that's true.
You're right. Yes.
But it's
Yes.
available to everyone. Again, the Creator's
Yes.
not like our parents who might have played favorites. Okay, I'll be nicer to your sister because she's prettier, or nicer to your brother because he's got athletic skills. None of
Yeah.
that. You know,
Right.
we're the chosen people. We're the favorite. There are no favorite people.
Right.
All of us are
Equal.
individuated expressions of God. We're all equal.
All equal.
Every
Unique.
day.
Unique, but equal.
Unique.
Equal. Yes. Yes.
And if we can
Very
help people understand
that. Yes.
and reconnect them to the source. Of all.
And it comes from within. It's not outside of us.
Right.
That awakening, because when I awoken to the universal truth, it was not from here.
Right.
It was here. It was a heart and soul awakening. It comes from within you.
It does. It does. A dear friend recently asked me, well, aren't you going to hand out literature for our religious organization so that people can know the truth? And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. People aren't transformed by what they read and, make an intellectual. Oh, that sounds good. I'm going to change my religion to this. That's not how it works.
You're right.
It's touched.
You're right.
If you want to help somebody become a part of your religious community, show love so that they can see the divine through you.
It'd be a living example of love. That's so interesting. I was at the lake. I love my favorite place. I go to the lake at sunset and I meditate while the sun is setting. Looking, I'm like so connected to all that is God at that moment. But there happened to be a group of young men, and an older man was preaching to them. And they weren't far from me, and I was hearing this, but I'm still like, I'm at my perfect spot. I was like, I'm not moving. I'm like, but I said, you know what? After the sunset, I started going to my car, and then it's like, and as I passed them, I just said, have a good evening, kept on going. The gentleman that was preaching all evening to these young men walked over to me, and he's like, are you a believer? I'm like, he did. No, I'm thinking to myself, now, God, yeah, really? But anyway, but I said my response in love and light was, I may not believe exactly what you believe, and then I started telling him about my radio show, Awake to Oneness Radio. I handed him a card and he listened. I planted seeds. But am I a believer? Oh, like, okay. It's like, because I'm listening to this and I'm like, I'm not going to say words. Like, I just let people be. I let people be. And I share my truth and love and light. And so obviously it was meant for me to say something to him because he stepped to me, So, and he listened. He did listen.
Yes. And that's one of the challenges that we have. People, they're sincere. They're really sincere and believe if I can just introduce her to God. I mean, I'm not making fun of you. I'm really but I mean, they're really sincere.
Yes.
But they just. Do you really think that the creator of the universe can't reach people? I mean, come on now.
And I had to say to him, this is my church. You see, we were at my lake. It's 4 miles from my house. It's so beautiful. Look at this, Nate. This is where you can't find God. I mean, you can find God because God is everywhere. But this is where I really connect with God. Out here in nature. This is, so I was like, this is my church. Because I heard him talking when he was talking to the young men, he was talking about being in church as if you're out in nature right now. You're not in church,
Yes. God is everywhere. God is
everywhere.
There is nowhere that God is not because
it's not.
It is.
Exactly. But I just
gotta take a break.
Yes.
And we're going to come right back. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325, and press 1 when you're ready to speak. And we'll gladly open your mic and get your thoughts, You're listening to the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, sitting in for our Tuesday host, Jody Susan, and we're talking to Caroline Chang of Awake to Oneness Radio. And she's letting us know that we don't die.
We don't die.
We don't die.
No, we don't.
We'll be right back.
Absolutely.
We are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, sitting in for our Tuesday host, Jody Susan, and we are talking to Caroline Chang, who is bringing us proof that we don't die.
Yes. Well, the wonderful thing is, this is the day before I go out to IONS conference in Washington, D.C. this year. Now, IONS is a wonderful organization, and IONS stands for International Association of Near-Death Studies.
Yeah.
So many people now are coming out and sharing their near-death experience, their experience in the afterlife for however, because there is no time. There is no time in spirit. So there's these amazing stories, and there's thousands upon thousands of people coming together. IONS has been, oh my goodness, around for a long time. I can't remember how many years,
but I got like somewhere in the 80s, I think they were started.
Something like that.
Yes. I think after Raymond Moody's book came out.
Yes.
That was one of the first ones that actually chronicled people and their experience, what happens when they nearly die and they come back resuscitated or whatever, but they had an experience while they were out of body on the other side.
Exactly. And I've been connected with IONS since 2019, and this is my 4th year. I will be speaking at the IONS conference this year in Washington, D.C., but I'll be leaving tomorrow. So I would just love for anybody that's maybe in the Washington, D.C. area, if you're interested, it's a 4-day event, and you can go to their conference. Their website is just IONS, IANDS.org, and you can find out all about it. But it's a great place to go if you're curious as to what happens when you leave your earthly body. Very, very good, interesting. I mean, for anyone, and a lot of people are interested now.
Now, does that stand for, I think it's International Association
of Near-Death Studies, because it is very science-based. Yes. Yeah. International Association of Near-Death Studies. Yes.
And I'm glad you brought up IONS and the whole near-death experiences, because there are so many people who have had those experiences and they couldn't talk about it because what they experienced was not necessarily according to what their religion taught.
Exactly.
In terms of, judgment, hell.
Yes.
And because they couldn't talk about it sometimes for years, they never explained this transformative thing that happened to them.
Right.
They had died.
Exactly.
And it's all over the internet right now.
Yes.
And people have, and many of them were told to come back and tell their story.
Exactly.
So that they could help humans evolve. Help us evolve to an understanding about life so that we could get over our fear of death, because there is no death.
No death. Exactly.
And one thing, and now I on our news website, news channel, On Air.
Okay.
The website is onaireverywhere.com.
Okay.
And we have a global radio TV guide for internet TV,
right.
YouTube channels, Facebook pages, podcasts.
Right.
And we give that out as a guide. Go to onaireverywhere.com and go to the radio TV guide.
Right.
And we have so many people listed who have, and it's just people such as yourself,
yes,
listed where we recommend you subscribe to these channels because they are just,
yes,
we call them global transformers. These are people who are dedicated to spreading information that can help us awaken.
Exactly.
And it's so powerful. And
Yes.
one of my favorites that I listened to just this morning. I don't know if you've been on his show yet. Next Level Soul.
Oh, he's awesome. He's
Yeah,
amazing. Yes.
awesome.
I've contacted him. I hope to be on this show
Yeah,
soon.
yeah,
Yes. I have contacted him.
yeah.
Yes. And Ian's also, and
Wow.
it's Ian's Ian's video on YouTube channel. I actually manage. It's something I'm doing, is managing their YouTube channel. I started that a few months ago.
Oh,
Because
that's
Ian's is just, it's a nonprofit organization. But if you are interested in, they have hundreds and hundreds of videos on their YouTube channel, and you can hear hundreds of experiences.
yeah.
So I invite people, you can listen to this stuff for free on YouTube and really get enlightened. Yeah. And as far as that, we were talking about hell and this fear of hell. There have been many people who have had near-death experiences that have hellish experiences. But
Yeah.
in every one of those experiences, they saw the light. Or
Yeah.
they either cried out to Jesus or Buddha or Allah, whatever, whoever your God is, and because God will answer to whatever name you call him. Okay. As soon as they called out to the light, called out to God, called out to Jesus, they were taken right out of that experience, like instantaneously. So it was their fear that was creating that experience.
Yeah.
And as soon as they opened up to love and light, they were removed from that experience. It proved to them, no, hell is not eternal, and it's self-created. And we can create hell right here.
This is where hell is.
But we have the option.
We can get out of hell right here.
Here's the thing: in every now moment, we can create hell right here, or we can create heaven right here. And so we're creating our experience here, and we are creating our experience there.
Yes,
So,
and that's a key thing.
Yes.
And I really want you all who have a fear of hell to understand this.
Yes.
Because there are those near-death experiencers that experience hell, and it was because they believed in hell.
Yes.
And many of them felt inside that they were going to be sent to hell. They had guilt, shame, fear.
Yes.
You create the reality that you're experiencing.
Exactly.
We created here as well. It's just it happens slower because we're in this very dense physical environment. So there's time to think about things. If I wanna go and get that book over across the room, I gotta get up and walk over there. In the other realm, everything is instant.
Instantaneous. Yes.
So you have to manage your thoughts, because you will create hell if that is what you strongly believe exists and you deserve. But Caroline just said, once you realize you gotta call out to the light, you gotta call out to God. You have to seek that energy.
Yes.
And then you will be rescued from the hell you created.
Exactly. Exactly. That is so true. Everything, that is a key part of what I try to share. Everything we experience, like my son and my daughter transitioning, everything, we created that. That was a soul plan. Nothing happens we are sovereign beings of light, meaning nothing can happen in our life experience that we did not agree to as a soul. And our soul, which knows exactly the purpose why we're here and for this life, that our soul knows, our higher self, our soul knows every life experience we've ever had and why we're here, what our purpose is. We as our limited human ego mind does not. So we have to trust that whatever's happening, it's happening for our highest good. Even the transitioning of a loved one, even the transitioning of a child. And I know this is hard for parents to hear.
It's hard for parents to hear.
It's very hard, but when you understand that they're not gone. They're actually, I have a closer relationship to my children now, because when they were here in the physical, they were off living their life. They were adults. They were out living their life. I don't know where they were or what they were doing. Now I know they're always with me, and I talk to them all the time. Yes.
Well, this is the thing, and I'm going to tell my story of how I
Yes.
reconnected with my spouse.
Yes.
I want for those who are really grieving, suffering, if you can grasp the reality that your loved one is not gone, they're actually closer to you now because they don't have the physical barrier of a body.
Yes.
And so, as pure energy, they are with you, they are around you, they are a part of you all the time now.
Right. Yes.
And we want to help you be able to sense their presence and reconnect and even communicate with them, because they're seeking to communicate with you.
Yes.
You mentioned Suzanne Giesemann, who
Yes.
another one of my favorites,
Yes.
a medium who is
Yes.
able to reconnect with those on the other side. And that happened after her stepdaughter was
Yes.
struck by lightning and killed. And she said, I know there's got to be some
Yes.
essence of her somewhere. I know that
Yes.
she's not in that body anymore. I know she's somewhere. And of
Right.
course, our loved ones are somewhere.
Somewhere. Yes.
And when we know this, I mean, our religions, kind of tell us, but so many
Yeah.
people really don't believe it. That's why they grieve so much. Oh, they're gone. No, they're not gone.
They're not gone at all.
And for people who maybe lose a child or have a child transition, I'm even going to make sure I change my language,
Right.
because no one's ever lost.
Right.
And the feeling, but why would God take my child and they're so young? But
Yeah.
you have to first understand,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
as eternal beings, we made a life plan to be here for a certain time. We gave ourselves exit points, well, if I'm done with what I need to do, I can leave at this time, or if I'm done with what I need to do, I can leave at that time.
Right.
So you decide different ways you're going to get out of this body.
Yes.
And we think it's a tragedy. Okay, someone got
Right.
maybe killed in a shooting or something.
Yes.
People make decisions on how they're going to transition, sometimes for specific reasons.
Exactly.
Sometimes we want their exit to also awaken those that are here to some things that we need to change about our society. So
Exactly.
they're actually doing a public service.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
when we can understand that,
Yes.
then we can appreciate the time we had with them. We can know that they're still around, they haven't
Exactly.
gone, and we can
Yeah.
know that they served humanity by awakening us to some things that we need to change so that
Exactly.
our society is better.
Yes.
We have to know this, and it's hard for people who went through things like maybe Sandy Hook or other
Yes.
tragedies.
Yes.
Children those children made a decision to be a part of that, to awaken us. We're
Yes.
at this point where we as a human species must evolve, and we must change the way we're treating each other. And
Yes.
they chose to be part of that awakening.
Exactly.
If parents can understand that and feel comfort in that, it
Yes.
would be helpful.
Yes.
So many
Yes.
people are angry at God when their loved one leaves here violently, and they feel like God did them wrong. I pray all the time, how did God let my child die?
Right.
Understand that your child, just like Caroline realizes her son said, well, I'm going to be here with you, but I'm not
Yes.
staying here that long. I got, I'm going to
Yeah.
do working and
Yeah.
I'm out of here, And
Yes.
so however long a person is here, that's how long they plan to be here. This
Exactly.
doesn't have to be a forever long life situation. So
Exactly.
you do what you came here to do. And
Do.
sometimes you just wanted to have a certain impact on the family, maybe for 2 years. And then
Yes.
you left.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
when we
It's-
get to that point, we can understand
Yes.
life and
Yes.
life inside a body, and then life
Life.
in spirit.
Yes.
Then we will change everything in our society. And
Exactly.
we're going to talk about that review process also.
Yes.
One reason why we want to connect you with organizations like IONS, the International
Yes.
Association of Near-Death Studies. People used to
Yeah.
say, well, nobody ever died and came back. Well, now there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have died and come back. And they
Yes.
came back to tell us how it really is,
Exactly.
so that we can
Yes.
know. And then we can not be afraid, but we can prepare
Right.
in the right way.
Right. And now because when you awaken to this truth, you start to live your soul's purpose.
Yes.
You came here for a purpose, unique purpose that only you can do. No one else can fulfill your soul's purpose. And when you start to live your soul's purpose, it's the most, $1 billion cannot give you that joy. It's all about, I know who I am. I know why I came, and I'm living my soul purpose. There's no greater joy. There's no greater joy.
No greater joy. I mean, you just are at peace because you're living
Yes.
your purpose.
Yes.
And our Friday host, Viana, says, Grand
Yes.
Rising, beautiful queens, wonderful truth-filled discussion, giving thanks.
Viana, yes.
And you know, her past Sunday show, she's also on with us on Sunday evenings, and she talked about fear of your children dying. There are so many parents that are going through stress right now, worried about children going to school, children getting shot, you know. And then one thing I don't want us to do with this generation of children is instill them with fear. Of pain.
Yes.
You know, it's our responsibility to make our living environments full of love and safety. Our responsibility. They should not be having to go through drills to hide in a closet when somebody comes in with a gun. That's our fault that we allowed that.
That exactly. And also for us, see, we don't understand is with our limited human mind, ego mind and body, we don't understand that we are creating that fear by being in fear.
Yes.
We are creating it with that energy. Anything we put out energetically, you're putting out. So you're putting all this fear out into the universe. And when it comes back, you're going to wonder, well, where did that come from? You. It came from you. It came from you putting out, instead of putting out love and surrounding all the schools and all the children with love, and you have that power. You have that power just sitting at home and meditating and praying, surrounding every child on the planet with love and light. You're that powerful. But if you're like, oh, I'm afraid, that's what you're putting out, and you're surrounding those children with fear.
Yes.
That's what you're doing.
The fear energy. So we are such powerful beings. Every soul is connected energetically to the entire universe. We're all connected to everything. So the energy that we put out, you're either adding to the fear energy or you're adding to the love energy.
Love it. Exactly. And in every now moment, you can ask yourself, what am I putting out? What energy am I putting out into the universe? Is it love or is it fear? And every now moment, you can ask yourself that question.
Absolutely. And it's a choice to make. And there is a grown woman vibe. I like that. Hey, Sister Naima Salam. This is Naila. Yes.
Yes.
We appreciate you so very much for tuning in.
And yes.
But you know, this is such a powerful truth that those of us who know our purpose, we're doing all we can to share it. We're promoting those who are sharing it. We want the earth to awaken. We want to remove the fear energy, because that is what is going to help us evolve. Something that I saw, and I'm trying to remember what guest it was. I can't remember the name of the guest, but they were on Next Level Soul. Alex Ferrari's show. And for those people who are afraid of death, and afraid of the pain, when he was explaining as a near-death experiencer, he was explaining that what happens, your soul leaves your body.
You don't, exactly.
Sometimes, like if you're getting ready to even be in an auto crash, you're
out of your body before the crash even happens. So you don't feel any pain. You don't feel any pain.
You're already gone.
And
so when people are, if you've had somebody who was maybe shot or you know, some other violent death, their soul was out of that body.
The body. You don't feel any pain.
They were not suffering and suffering. You're thinking of even drowning. You know, your soul is out of your body. As soon as the oxygen gone, your soul is out of your body. You know, watching you from above. It's already out of your body.
So, and I've heard several near-deathers that have drowned. They drowned. They actually drowned, but they were out of their body and they were looking at being resuscitated. They weren't in their body. They weren't, but they're like, okay. And then they're at a point, they're like, okay, it's time to get back in that body. You know, it's like, yeah. But they were out of, they don't feel any pain.
Yes. So
Yes.
you don't have to live in fear of suffering and dying, because your
Exactly.
soul is already has a mechanism to release,
Yes.
and you will not
Yes.
feel whatever
Right.
is happening to your body. You're not feeling that.
Feeling it. You're not feeling it.
And even if someone tragically burned, even because there's some
Yes.
ways that the body has been maybe
Yes.
really badly mishandled, that
Yes.
soul was not in it.
In that body, the soul
So,
was out.
and that's
Yes.
what the cause of a lot of suffering, that people are thinking their loved ones suffered and passed away from suffering. Even if
Right.
you're ill
Yes.
in the hospital, there's only so much pain before
Right.
your body releases your soul. You're not
Right.
to suffer and suffer and suffer.
Right.
It's not
And
how.
many people that are very close, like in hospitals, and they're very close to the end. They're in both worlds at the same time. They're
Yeah.
seeing loved ones on the other side, even in the corner of the room, just waiting to greet them.
Yes.
They're going like back and forth and back and forth. And then a lot of times I hear that they'll wait to, like, say if you have loved ones in the room, wanting to be with, they'll wait till they go to get lunch or something. Because they're like,
Mhm.
okay, they're gone. Now I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes
they'll wait
leave.
till like, yeah, they'll wait and like, okay, now is a good time for me to go, because she's not sitting there waiting for me. I'm gonna go while she's gone.
Right. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
if you have any
Yeah.
kind of guilt about, oh, I wasn't
Yeah.
there,
Yes.
they wanted you to leave so they
Yeah.
can. They have people waiting. I'm gonna tell you, there's
Yeah.
a party on the other side when
God, oh my goodness!
you
As
get a
soon as you
welcome
get
home
there,
party.
oh
People
my God!
are fun.
Everyone has a welcome
Yes.
home party, and it's the best party ever. Yes,
And it doesn't matter how you left here.
right.
There's also a fear that people have, like if someone took their own life, oh, they're suffering, they're being punished in hell forever and ever. No, because the Creator knows that you were overwhelmed,
right,
and you left here, you just couldn't take anymore. It's understood.
It's very understood.
The soul was in pain.
Yes.
You're not going to be given more pain because you were in pain.
No, not at all.
Also,
not at all. And you had mentioned, now talk about the life review that the soul.
Yes, the life review, and this is something we all need to understand what happens.
Yes.
When you cross over,
yes,
you are given an entire review of your life.
Exactly.
Now, there's not, God on the throne judging you and, put the gavel down and sentencing you to hell. No, it's you. You're looking at your life and you are feeling everything. You then become the oneness that Caroline's talking about. You become one with everyone in the sense that you're able to feel everything you did from the point of view of everybody who was around, everybody who you touched. You feel what they felt when you did things, as well as feeling how you felt when you did things. So you see it from all perspectives, and you understand exactly how you made other people feel. Watch that life review. And that's when you might feel some regrets. If you were kind of nasty to people and you felt how you hurt them, you accept that.
Yeah.
You feel bad.
Yeah.
Some things you feel really good.
Yes.
There was one near-death experience that I don't remember which channel I was watching, but he was giving his account of his near-death experience.
Right.
And he remembered this one little, he was shown this one little incident when I think his family's car had broke down on the road and they needed to go and get some water to put in the engine, that kind of thing. So he fetch a pail of water, and on the way back, the pail was really full. So he said, well, I can't carry all this water. And he saw a plant over, real dry and wilted. He said, well, I'll just pour some water on the plant. So he went over and poured water on the plant, kind of revitalized it a little bit, and went on and got water to the vehicle. But he saw that on the other side, there was like this cheering, like, ah! like he just, won the greatest award in the world. Everybody was, all the angels cheering him for that one little act of kindness to that person.
Yes.
That's how important it was to him to show love.
Yes.
So every act of kindness that you see yourself do, you will feel the joy that you created, and you will be grateful that you gave joy to every living thing, because every life is equal. Every life is equal. So when you know this, you live your life differently. You live your life for that life review, because I think about this all the time now. Like, okay, I can't cuss this person out because how the life review. So I mean, you really start living your life differently.
Yes. Even like I said, when the man came up to me and said to me, "Are you a believer?" like I always take deep breaths, and I'm like, I gotta respond with love. And it's like, I may not believe the way you believe, but and then we just went on from there and I started sharing about unity and oneness and how we're and nature. This is my church right here. So and he really, I think what surprised me with him is he actually listened, because I heard him just talking and talking and talking to this group of young men. So I thought he was going to be one of those ones, as soon as I say something, he's just going to talk all over me. But he actually just was quiet and listened to everything I said. So it's about, and with that, so like you said, it's not God saying, okay, let's look at this, okay, you were bad, it's you feel everything that you made another person feel. And so you're like, oh, I want to go back and make that right. And it's you who decides. And that's, karma is nothing but the universal balance. People think karma is no. Karma is balance.
You make good karma, you do good things.
It's good karma, but it's a balance. But karma is just balance, because it's what you did. You look and you do, because you can also balance out karma in spirit. You don't have to come back to earth to balance out the karma. There's lots of ways of balancing out karma.
You can be of service to people while you're in spirit.
Exactly.
And
exactly. So yeah,
I don't want to come back here, so I'm trying to fix everything I did.
I hear that a lot too. I hear that a lot from people. Now this is my last go round.
I'm gonna fly with the Arcturians after this one.
But I also think a lot of advanced souls, I believe a lot of advanced souls come back to this experience because they want to be of service.
We want to help.
They want to be of service. So,
and speaking of service, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about those volunteer souls. A great woman who was a hypnotherapist, Dolores Cannon.
Yes.
She was able to take people back, not only to past lives, but also to the time when they chose to come here for a very specific reason. And many of us are aware that we are those volunteers that came to help Earth. So we'll talk about that when we come back. And if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325, and press 1 when you're ready to speak. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and we are here with Caroline Chang of Awake to Oneness. Tell us where they can go to Awake to Oneness Radio.
Okay, my website is awake, the number 2, so awake to onenessradio.org. So awake to onenessradio.org is where you can find my website. You can find me on YouTube, awake to Oneness Radio, and just check me out.
So it's awake to oneness.org.
Yes. Awake to Oneness Radio.
Awake to Oneness Radio. Awake to Oneness
Radio.org.
Yes. Awake to Oneness Radio.org.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go to awake to onenessradio.org.
Yes.
And here's some fascinating shows. What are one of the
one of the things I have that I started a couple of years ago, I have a playlist of, I love creating videos. I create inspirational message videos. I start my day with an inspirational message video, and so I'll hear a channeled message and I'll take that audio and create a video to go with it. And so I have it's a playlist. It's got to be over 80 videos now. So I encourage people to start their day with an inspirational message. And so
wonderful.
They can find that on my YouTube channel.
Yes. Well, go to awake2onenessradio.org and go to the YouTube channel. Now, is your YouTube channel also Awake to Oneness?
Awake to Oneness Radio is my YouTube channel. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We got to hear a show. Are there any particular guests that were just so profound that really stood out and said some things you hadn't heard before that really, like, wow, I didn't know that? Like,
Honestly, I mean, I love all my guests, and for I can't believe now I've been doing this for over 8 years.
wow.
It's always, I just love having it, because for me, it's not an interview, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And I love having these conversations with Awaken Collective,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's just always been a wonderful, amazing conversations. And some of my guests are very well known, some are not. And but they're equal to me, whether they have 1 million followers or 1 follower, they're equal to me. Yes.
And they're all doing this work. That's one of the most profound things that I had learned from listening to Dolores Cannon, who is a past life regression therapist. And I probably speak of her in the present tense, even though she transitioned in, I think, 2015.
Okay.
But I just don't think of people as gone.
They're not.
And her radio shows are still available, her lectures.
Yes.
So the wonderful thing about technology is that you are still here, even though you're
exactly. She's all over YouTube.
Yes, all over YouTube. And what he was explaining was that after the atomic bomb was dropped, now listen to this, people. After the atomic bomb was dropped, and the reverberations of that was felt everywhere, because if we blow up this planet, we're not going to just affect Earth. We're going to not only affect
the entire universe.
We will affect the entire universe, even into other dimensions.
Exactly.
And Earth itself is a soul. That's why when you put something in the ground, it grows. Earth is an energy. Earth is alive, a living being. And Earth cried out, "Help me! I need help!"
Yes.
You're about to blow the place up.
Yes.
So what happened was the call went out.
Yes.
For souls to, and it's understood.
Yes.
That you can't interfere with a planet's evolution from the outside. You can watch, and that if you were a Star Trek fan and you watched, the Prime Directive, you can't interfere. That's real.
That's real. Yeah, exactly. Very real. Yes. Right.
But what was thought was, well, what are we affected from the inside? Which means you have to incarnate, you have to come into flesh,
right,
and bring the love and the light here on the planet as a person. So souls from around the universe were asked to volunteer.
Yeah, exactly.
And so people that were the baby boomers, that was the first wave of volunteers.
62 baby boomer right here. Yes.
So people who volunteered to come came so that they could change the energy on Earth.
Exactly.
And change its direction, change the trajectory.
Exactly.
And change the timeline, because we were about to destroy this place.
Yes.
And so many people now are a part of this awakening process. We're part of those volunteers, those souls who came from, some of us came all over,
yes. I feel like I came from the Pleiades, to be honest. I feel a connection to the Pleiades. Yes.
And many of us did. Many of us came from,
right.
Where there's a couple of planets I feel like I've had experiences with.
Right.
And I would like to go back to. But many of us, something happened in our lives, and we remembered that we chose to come here.
Right.
Remembered that we're supposed to be doing this work.
Yes.
And like Caroline said, once you realize your purpose, you are at peace, because you know why you're here.
Exactly.
And those of us who are aware that we are the volunteer, we're part of this group of volunteers. We're connecting all over the world now because we know.
Right.
And my understanding, something that Dolores Cannon said in one of her lectures, you change the timeline that we won't be going down, which would have led to our destruction. So, and another fascinating thing that she did, she was able to connect through many of her clients under hypnosis. She was able to connect to Nostradamus, the great seer, while he was alive, through something called simultaneous time.
Yes, if I understand that.
Realize it, because just like I'm going to be going to South Korea for a global peace conference in the next few weeks.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
going to be doing, it's going to be nighttime there, and I'm going to be doing an interview here in the daytime.
Right.
So even though they're a day in the future,
Right.
we're going to be able to speak to each other, and that's simultaneous time.
Right. And I do understand. That was at my awakening in 2007. I understand there is no, all there is the now. There is no time. What we see as linear time is just a measurement in this 3D matrix.
Right.
There is, once you leave this 3D matrix, there is no time. Everything is happening. So say you lived 100 lifetimes. You are living those 100 lifetimes right in the now. So I stopped using the term reincarnation. I know it's simultaneous. And each life, like the life you're living right now, and what you do in this now moment, it affects every single life, what we consider past or future. It's the now moment affects both what we call past, what we call future. And that has been proven scientifically. Even the physicist that died recently, what's his name? Stephen Hawking.
Yes, Stephen Hawking. Yeah.
In his work, he proved that the now moment affects, it's a ripple, like when you drop a drop of water in the lake and it ripples out in all directions. That is what the now moment is. And it affects what we consider past and what we consider future, are all connected by the now. The only time that exists is the now.
That's where you can affect life from all timelines. Now, if you saw that one of my favorite movies ever series, Back to the Future.
Yes.
That sort of approached that idea, because he went back and changed something, which changed the present moment, and then he went to the future, and that changed the past. So he had to go back to the future.
It's like, okay.
It was so funny though, but that concept really kind of helps you understand that all of these lifetimes are happening simultaneously. I think that's one of the things that the guides who work with Dolores Cannon, they're existing simultaneously. So
exactly,
it's such a fascinating thing, but once you understand it, you just view life so differently.
You live life so differently. You really do
live life differently. Our Monday morning host of the HLN TV show, the Higher Learning Network TV network, Zelda, says, "Grand Rising, beautiful sisters, loving this discussion. Thanks for sharing." Yes. So I'm just really excited to be able to share this work. Now, I had an experience with my husband of 20 years when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And, you always want to extend the life, but there was one point where we realized his body's not going to be able to come back from this.
Right.
So he and I made an agreement, because we were following the Muslim faith and global Muslim community and everything.
Right.
Sisters even tuned in this morning. I told him, when you get to the other side, I want you to figure out how to come back and tell me what's really going on. What's the real deal?
Okay.
So we agreed that we were going to find a way to reconnect.
Right.
And he kept his promise.
Of course.
A few days after the funeral, he came to me in spirit. In the dream state, you're kind of in spirit. Because your body's actually leaving. Your soul is leaving your body every time.
Every time you go to sleep.
So his first thing he said to me was, "The past, the present, and the future are all the same. Whenever you want to see me, just go back in your mind to a time when we were together."
Yes.
And when he first said it, was like a riddle. Like, what do you mean the past, the present, the future are all the same? I mean, I know I can go back to the past in my mind, but how do I go to the future? How do you travel? And, but by the end of the book, because I kept a diary by my bed, and every encounter we had, I wrote down what happened, what he said. I wrote down the time it happened and everything.
Okay.
I wrote down the time I woke up. So every chapter, and in this book, it's visits from the dream state. The
Okay.
account of my husband keeping his promise to me to
Yes.
stay connected.
Yes.
And throughout over a year, a little over a year,
Yes.
he well, even longer than that. The book spans a time of a year and a few months.
Right.
But I kept a diary of each of his visits and things and our conversations, and
Yes.
explaining about things. And he was, he was concerned about his brother's well-being, because his brother was really kind of going through stress with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
my mother
Right.
was kind of going through Alzheimer's, and
Yes.
it was difficult for him. So he wanted me to stay there and help him, be his emotional support. He asked me that.
Right.
But he also was able to help me with what's called astral projection, which means your body leaving your
Right.
soul leaving your body.
Your body.
Actually
Right.
literally pulled
Yes.
my soul out of my body, and I was able to go into the dimension where he is.
Wow.
We talked.
Yes.
And I did this several times, and I, chronicled it in the book.
Right.
And he really loved filmmaking. He loved film school. He used to talk about it. So one time I visited him in a classroom. I think it was one of his film classes, and
Right.
some other people there, and they seemed like they were having fun on the computers and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, oh,
right.
So, I mean, I literally was able to go to his dimension. I didn't have a near-death experience, but I did go through I had an experience of going through the tunnel that many near-death experiencers experience.
Exactly.
Saw buildings, it was like a college campus, all kinds of experiences that I've had.
Yes.
And so I know that, because when we first were doing this the first time, he and I were face to face, and I was in the other dimension, I was like, are we supposed to be doing this?
Are we gonna get in trouble?
Because the thought is, once a person is dead, you cut ties, that's it. No, you actually can leave this dimension and go and visit the other one, and you don't have to be dead to do it.
Exactly. So and you know what? Also, because with ions, it's not just near-death experience. It's also called spiritually transformative experiences. And that's what you had. You didn't have near-death, but you had, and so did I. I had a spiritually transformative. It's called STE, STE, but it stands for spiritually transformative experience, and that they also talk about with ions. So yes. So you don't have to have a near-death experience to go, and the OBE, the out-of-body experience.
Because I used to have out-of-body experiences as a child, and it used to frighten me because I couldn't control it, but now I can do it at will with meditation. I can actually go and visit him. And during the time my daughter was living in South Korea, I was thinking, I can go visit my husband in the other dimension easier than I can go visit my daughter in Korea, because with her, I got to raise money to get planes.
To take the plane and everything.
All I got to do is raise my frequency.
Yes.
And
I'm
there. So it was just a powerful realization that our loved ones are not gone, and
they're never gone, and they want us to know that. They so much want us to know, because they realize, wow, I'm not gone, and I see and hear, and hear everything that's going on. I know, and then when we're sad and we're in such grief, and it hurts them, honestly, that they're like, oh, don't stop, don't do that, because I'm right here.
I'm fine, I'm having a good time.
Yes.
I mean, the book ends. It ends after about at the end of the book. I'm talking with my husband about, should I get remarried and all that sort of thing.
Right.
But I continued my connection with him even after the book ends, and there were several experiences I had going to an apartment where he lived, and hanging out there.
Yes.
So some kind of reception they were having at, and some other people with. I mean, they're having fun over there, y'all. They're having fun,
and they're happy, and they want us to be happy. They want us to be happy. Yes.
They want us to be happy. They don't want us grieving, crying, sad, feeling not only grief, but sometimes
hopelessness,
guilt.
Yes.
Well, if I had just done this, if I had just done that, understand that That was the exit point they chose.
They chose. And I did that too. When Kyle transitioned, I said to myself, I'm not going to do the what ifs. What if this? What if that? I immediately told myself, I'm not going to do the what ifs. Everything is happening. Everything happened, and is happening in perfect divine timing.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. It didn't need yes, that was just, wow, didn't need to raise funds for the trip, but raise your consciousness and the
Yes.
funds appear. Yes, simply
Yeah.
awesome. It's amazing. I mean, you can
Yes.
travel the universe, and what I discovered that it's not against the rules. You know, it
Right.
depends on how
Yes.
high do you want to
Exactly.
frequency. You can be with the angels. You can
Yes.
be in heaven. Heaven is
Yes.
a state of being.
Being.
You can
Heaven
be
and
like
well, so is both are. Heaven is a state of being, and
So-
so is hell.
yes.
Hell is a state of being.
State
And
of
it's not a place. And Jesus said that. Because Jesus was like, well, where is heaven? It's right here.
yes.
He told us heaven is within.
Heaven is within you.
Yes.
And if you understand how to create that and live that, you can live in joy and peace and bliss. I don't care how violent the city you live in is, you will be living in a different reality, even though you're in the same
even though inmates in prison can find heaven right there in their prison cell.
Yes, I've known some. I had a friend who he was just the happiest person, and I think he was doing a life sentence. You know, he was one of those people, you know, trumped up charges during the 60s, Black Panther, all that.
Right.
And he was, when I met him, we were doing I guess like a pen pal program with
right
when I was back in college.
Right.
And this person's spirit, he's just amazing. David, I'm trying to remember his last name. But he was so full of joy and just laughed all the time. And his spirit was not in there. I mean, he was there.
Right.
Doing workshops.
The body was there, but not the mind.
Right, yes.
I mean, the mind and the soul wasn't there. Yes.
His soul was not in prison.
Right.
And that's, you can be anywhere and
here's the thing, people can be in $1 million mansion and be in prison.
Yes.
Because that's, their mindset and their soul is, because we create our prisons.
Yes.
Yes, we do. With our minds and our thoughts and our actions and our intentions, all of that. We put ourselves in prison. Yes.
We do.
Yes.
And this is why it's important that we awaken.
Yes.
Whatever your spiritual belief, whatever your faith, whatever community you're part of, find the parts of your teachings that reflect love
and light,
joy and light.
Yes.
The Creator is not a vengeful, angry, punitive,
not at all.
At all. And when you believe that, you're putting yourself in prison. You're putting yourself in hell. And you're going to experience the results of it in your body, because your body is going to feel the negative energy that you're directing.
And you're creating illness.
And you're creating
that. Yes.
It's not necessary. Often it's coming from your own guilt, your own self-condemnation,
right?
Your own self-hate, your own resentment of others. All these things that you're feeling.
Yes.
And you don't have to. You can let it go.
You let it go, and it starts with loving yourself. Forgive yourself. You honestly can't forgive others if you haven't forgiven yourself. Forgiveness and love and all of those wonderful feelings start within you. You start loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and then you can start loving and forgiving others.
Right. Yes. That's a critical thing.
Yes.
So anything that's making you feel like you're going to be judged or you're guilty or, whatever you've done in your past, the Creator already knows. You didn't know any better.
Yes, exactly.
So, we come here having forgotten that we knew everything.
Exactly.
Experience all these things.
Yes.
Learn things. But when you go back, you do. That's what the life review is, so that you can see how well you learn.
Exactly.
not to throw you into hell and damnation and shame you. It's not that. It's so that you can see how
Right.
well you learn.
Right.
Did you achieve your objective you came here to achieve? That's all.
Exactly. Yes. It's all about soul evolution.
So
And the soul evolution, we come here to experience. The soul comes here for the experience and to evolve.
that's it.
That is what it's all about.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to take our last break and come back. And of course, if you are listening on, let me double check and see. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our guest, Caroline Chang. And she is the producer of Awake to Oneness Radio. Go to it and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You got to see those shows. So, there are people also who can't quite comprehend oneness because they're holding anger towards certain groups and so forth. What have your guest and your experience and your memory taught us about the lives that we've lived before and perhaps identities that we've had as other people?
Well, that's the thing, when you truly understand oneness from within, you understand there is no separation between you and another. No, none. And that everything that happens, even a life that is taken violently, whatever happens, it was a soul plan with you and that other soul, because you and that other soul are not separate, meaning nobody, as a soul, no one can kill you without your soul's permission. Nothing can happen to you without your soul permission. And so we, in our limited humanness, think, oh, how horrible, that person got killed, that person got shot, or horrible things are happening, but nothing is happening that is not in perfect divine timing, perfect divine order that you yourself, your higher self, your soul planned. So you and that other person are one. And actually, there's a great book, and it's a children's book. It's called The Little Soul in the Sun. You can actually hear the entire audiobook on YouTube. It's a children's book that explains that when we were in spirit, we asked other souls to be mean to us, to be horrible to us. And that's the soul's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be mean and cruel to you. But he's like, please, I need you to do me this favor. Be cruel to me when we get down there. Okay? It's all a plan. It's all a soul plan. Nothing happens that wasn't planned by your higher self. And when you truly know that, not just believe it, but know it, it's automatic forgiveness. It's automatic love, automatic unconditional love for the other, automatic unconditional forgiveness for the other, and automatic non-judgment of the other, because the other is just doing what you asked them to do.
And I know that is a stretch for a lot of people to understand, but realize you came here to overcome challenges, to have experiences, to develop understanding. So if you wanted to learn how to stand up for yourself, then you had someone be a bully.
Bully, exactly.
You would learn the courage to stand up for yourself.
Yes.
I mean, it's all kinds of things that we may want to overcome, physical challenges.
Yes.
So the things that you're here overcoming is for, again, your soul's evolution, your growth, your development. So you're asking for experiences to help you grow.
Yes, exactly.
Otherwise, you stay on the other side where
exactly.
everything is bliss, but you don't really experience anything. You don't experience challenges. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights,
Yes.
You want those muscles, but you can't get them if you don't lift weights. They got to be heavy weights otherwise.
Exactly. Yes. And it is very hard for humans. In doing this work now for over 8 years, even relatives, even I just had this conversation yesterday with relatives of mine. They just it's all about separation consciousness, which we are in right now in the 3D matrix, but we're rising as a collective to unity consciousness.
Yeah.
Unity consciousness is knowing that everybody, not just person, plant, animal,
Yeah.
everything is one and
Every,
connected. There is no victim. There
I
is
love,
no villain.
there's no victims, there's no villains.
No villain. It's
I
all
love
one.
talking to my plants, and they
Yes.
give me such wisdom. I've been able to. Well, I actually took a course and became a certified interspecies communicator. And I tell
Okay.
you, well, we got a comment here, and then we're going to go to call. Let me
Yes.
first take this comment.
Yes.
Beata says, "Do you think souls who don't or can't accept this mature spiritual teaching are just new souls, or are they helping us to be discerning, or are they just on a slower spiritual growth path?" Well, not everybody chose to awaken in this lifetime, because some
That's
souls
exactly
they
true.
need more experiences.
That's
So,
exactly true. Not every soul has chosen to awaken, because every soul awakens. Remember, we still think so linear.
right,
There is no linear time.
right,
And every soul awakens in its perfect divine timing. And we have hundreds of lifetimes. So we like, okay, I'll go 2 or 3 lifetimes asleep for a reason. That higher self, that soul chose to be asleep for several lifetimes. It's like, okay, but now in this lifetime, I'll wake up.
yeah.
It's a soul choice. And when you talk about young souls and old souls, again, it's not linear. It's
Every soul was
their
created at the same
evolution
time.
is experience.
Right,
It's how much experience
it's
has
experience.
that soul had.
Right,
That's when you consider a soul that hasn't had a lot of experience, and they want more. So like, okay, they plan a very difficult life
right,
because they want more experience.
right.
So they plan that difficult life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. You're right.
Yes.
Every soul has its own life plan. So
Yes.
therefore we shouldn't get frustrated if we can't make people understand
Yeah.
that might not be what they chose to do in this life. And
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. And I don't argue. I don't fuss. I don't fight. I share the truth. My truth that resonates with me, I share it with love and light. And I encourage people to go within
yeah,
and tap into their truth. You don't
yeah,
have to take my truth
yeah,
as your truth. I'm not saying that. I'm sharing my truth. And I encourage you to go within, tap into your truth, and live your truth.
right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I've had a lot of friends who, been raised in a certain religion, and they say, well, we don't believe in reincarnation. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's just okay if you don't have to believe. I mean, I remember some past lives. So,
Okay.
I don't need to
Okay.
argue about it, because my memory of them were
Yeah,
for my benefit, so that I can
exactly.
remember certain experiences that would help me in this life.
Right.
I share it with you. If you say you don't believe, that's okay. It's not going to make it not have happened to me. It just,
Right.
but another thing with that is for us to understand. And one thing that Dolores Cannon's worked with her past life regression therapy sessions, all of us have been, those of us who've had many experiences, you come to earth and have experienced everything. I mean,
Yeah.
everything from being air, being a rock, being a plant,
Yes.
being, various animals, insects. So we've
Yes.
seen everything. You,
Yes.
the life force energy that is your soul, right? You have had many, many, many life experiences for the
Experiences.
understanding.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so if you know that, and if you've been every race,
Yes.
so-called race on the planet, you've lived on every continent, how can you be prejudiced? How can you be
Exactly.
angry at any other group when you've been that group before? You've had.
Exactly. Exactly. And honestly, I love all people, and I am so grounded in oneness. And I keep saying that, just the conversation I just had yesterday with three of my relatives, and they just they don't get it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? And what I'm trying to say to them, I'm grounded in this. I haven't been doing Awake to Oneness Radio and just like, I'm grounded in oneness. I know I've lived every single color under the sun on this life and other colors on other other
Yeah.
planets. You know, I know I've
Another
experienced it
planet.
all, and I know we're all one, and it's all about love. See, the solution is unity, consciousness, and love. That's the solution. You guys want to focus on the problem.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the solution. I even
Yeah.
texted that before the show started today. I texted a relative saying, I'm focusing on the solution of love and peace and unity and not the problem. And then I didn't even read it, but I got a nasty response back to that email. I mean, to that text. Seriously. So I'm like, but I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not there. It's okay.
It's
I
okay.
see where you're at, and you can't, you don't want to choose to see where I'm at. But that's not going to change
Right.
where I'm at.
That's
You
right.
know?
We got a couple of callers that have raised their hands. Let me go to area code 773-450, and then we're going to go to 336. And you know,
Yeah.
a lot of times what we're challenged with is unconditional love and non-judgment.
Yes.
And what I've been made to understand, even from listening to many of the channel messages from some of the shows that we tune into,
Yes.
is that our ascension into the fifth dimension, which is that place of love and peace,
yes,
that will exist on this earth.
Right.
The key to that is non-judgment.
And yes, the key to that is knowing we are all one. Because knowing we're one, that eliminates the judgment.
Right.
And you have unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. Because there is no separation. So the whole thing is here on 3D Matrix, people are grounded in separation.
Yes. And there's
separation of color, separation of religion, separation of politics, you name it. They're grounded in that separation. But the main difference between 3D and 5D is unity consciousness, knowing we are one, where there'll be no war, there'll be no crime, there'll be no poverty, there'll be no sickness, there'll be no death. It will be heaven on earth, and we are in the midst of that transformation. But it's still a soul. Every soul has free will.
Right.
So it's a free will choice, and the only choice is love or fear. There's only and love is going to take you to 5D New Earth.
Yeah.
Fear is going to keep you on the 3D, in the 3D matrix, and there's no judgment. That is your soul's
That's your soul's choice. And the thing to understand is that the earth has already begun that separation.
Oh yes.
It's already begun.
I don't know if you ever heard of Bashar, Daryl.
Yes, I just recently watched a channeling with him.
I actually got to see Bashar, go to a Bashar event, and was called to actually. So I got to send you that video too, but it's a short 4-minute video. But here's the thing. I heard someone say recently that Bashar was saying right now what it is a glass wall that we can see. So like 5D is here. And I've been in 5D since March 2020. 5D is already here. And there's the 3D is here. So both are here right now. And there's a glass wall between the two, meaning people in 5D can see those in 3D, and people in 3D can see those in 5D. But he's saying right now that glass wall is getting thicker and thicker and thicker, meaning those that are in 3D, it's going to be harder for them to get to 5D shortly. So you can still see. So it's about choose, and it's just a choice of love or fear. That's all it is.
It's a state of being. So you can, like you can see the people on the other side.
Yes,
you're right here on the same planet, but your experience is different.
It's completely different.
Your experience is completely different.
Yes.
And you're right here in the same spot. So it's like a glass. You can see them and they can see you.
I can see them right over there.
Fear and, but we're all right here. So it's
we're right here. And I'm just inviting them to come to I'm not going over there. I'm inviting you to come over here.
Right. Come on up. Come on
up. Yep.
So and thank you so much, Obadiah. We appreciate you. Let's go to 336-350. Introduce yourself to our listening and viewing audience and give us your thoughts.
Greetings.
Yes, greetings. Sounds like Mama AZ from Arizona.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking my call, and I appreciate your guest for mentioning Neil Donald Walsh's Soul in the Little Sun.
Oh yes, that's right. He's the
animation since 2009, and the one that they have on the internet now is not the original. The original, if you can get the one, I've been telling people about that since 2009. That little animation is so profound to the point that the episode that I'm going through with eviction with the people here at Bonita Vista, where I live in Sierra Vista, Arizona, they are taking me to court with the jewelry and the whole 9 yards. It goes back to The Soul and the Little Sun by Neil Donald Walsh. Get the original.
Wow.
Because they have a backdrop as to how he came up with that. And I suggest that everybody, I've been saying it since 2009, and thank you, my dear sister, for mentioning it today, because today happens to be an 8 energy. 8 represents building or destroying or however, just look up what the number 8 represents. It's very profound because we do have assignments. And after this court is over with, whatever they want to do, they want to put me out on the street or whatever at 72 years old, it's okay. I'm okay with it now because I realize that this is my assignment because the people here have taken the role of bullies. And it's helping me to grow spiritually with what is happening here now. So thank you, family, for just mentioning that. Please get the old version and look at the backdrop, the behind the scenes, Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God.
Yes, that's a powerful series.
All of that.
Yes.
So thank you for just mentioning that today, and research it, family. Please research it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mama AZ. We're going to keep up with your case. Bullies are in our midst to give us the courage to fight back and stand up for ourselves.
Exactly. And I always, in all my presentations, I say that our greatest challenges in life are our greatest blessings. And it sounds great, but here's a mother whose both my children have transitioned and are in spirit. And I can say, as a mother with both my children, my biggest blessing was their transition. Not that I don't want them here with me. It's just, I know that it was planned to be a great challenge for me to awaken. So the challenge that Mama AZ is going through, it is a plan. It was a plan. It was a great challenge, but that challenge is going to push you to a higher level. That's what all our challenges are here for, that we plan. We plan these challenges to take us to a higher level.
Yes. Mama AZ is one of those souls that took on a whole lot. She's like, she's like the high school student that took 5 AP classes.
Yes.
I'm gonna master all this. I'm gonna do all of this. I'm gonna get it done. So she's a soul like that. I tell you,
Yes.
that's sister.
Yes.
But when you get to the other side, Mama AZ, you're like, wow, I did it. It was
Yes.
right.
Oh, but you know what? We're gonna have the big.
You.
We're gonna have the biggest party when we get like,
Yes,
because when we're planning these hard lives, when we're planning them, we have our spirit team is around us as we plan them, and they're like, "Are you sure? That's a lot. Are you sure?" And you be like, "Yeah, I can do it. I can do it." Yes. And so when we do it and get back over there, they like, "Oh, look at her. Yeah." They be like, "Yeah, she did it."
Yeah, that's Mama AZ, I tell you.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
She's courageous. So
yes.
But this is such a powerful time to be alive. And
yes, we're living in such an amazing time. The great my higher self told me in March of 2020, the great awakening has begun. And that's 3.5 years ago. And I laugh, I chuckle because I'm like, wait a second, how long do we gotta wait for this awakening?
I know.
I'm like, but we are in the midst of it. This is even though this year flew by and we're already almost in September, I'm telling you, the rest of this year, I'm never one to predict when and how things are gonna happen, but a lot is going to happen this year before we see this year end. Okay, because this is a turning point year. This is the turning point year. And that's coming direct from my higher self.
Oh yes.
90 seconds.
Yes. Well, we've got to go, people. It's been fantastic. I'm so excited, Caroline. I'm just so grateful that you were able to come here and be with us today.
I'm so thankful for you having me. It happened in perfect divine
time. Well, you're going to give a fantastic presentation there in Washington. So enjoy your time. I wish I could fly out and be there and see you and go, yeah. But hopefully they'll live stream or tape it.
They are live streaming. So yes. So that's why I say people go check out IONS. The conference will be live streamed as well as in person.
IONS, International Association
of
Near-Death Studies.
Yes.
Because we don't die.
Not at all. Not at all.
Absolutely. We're gonna go from life to better life.
Right. Yes. And then we say, okay, we're gonna go back to that life again. We go back and forth, ping pong. It's all about eternal life.
Yep. It's more experiences.
Yes.
So
yes.
Well, thank you so much, my sister. I love you much. Continue
awakening
the world. Awaken to one.
Thank you.
And we will see you all tomorrow. Join me with my co-host Kareem Hamid right here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show.
We've come to the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archives at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also